welcome to Indian Masterminds. I'm Muskan Khandilwal and we have with us 2022 batch Indian Forest Service Officer Yash Kale of Maharashtra cadre. We will be discussing in detail the training of IFS probationers at the Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy. Welcome to Indian Masterminds, sir. So first thing first, why did you choose the Forest Service? What inspires or motivates you for this service?
I was always interested in nature and environmental conservation. IFS is one of the main streamline opportunities wherein you can work on a very large scale and work towards empowerment of the people around the forests and towards conservation and protection of the forests. I am also particularly interested in wildlife, which further motivated me to pursue for this service. While pursuing my dream of civil services, I came to know about this service and the amazing lives that the officers lead. I was thus inspired to apply for this and I got selected in the 2022 exam.
Okay, so what does a typical day look like in an IFS probationer's life during the training? What kind of schedule do you have to follow at the academy and what activities do you guys get to perform?
During training, the days can be roughly divided into two types. One is when you are in the academy. In the academy, there is a very fixed schedule that is followed as per the instructions by our post director. To begin with, in early morning at around 6 to 6:30, we have our PT, where we do various things such as running, yoga, exercises, etc. For early risers, while this is not a problem, for a lot of people like me who go to bed late, this was a really tough thing, getting up in the cold winters of Dehradun and then going for a run. After that, we have our breakfast in our hostels, and then at 9 o'clock, our academic sessions begin. Counting lunch and tea breaks between, the sessions go on until 4 o'clock, after which games takes place at 5 o'clock. That takes place for around an hour, after which we are free to pursue our own interests and vocations. Generally, people take part in a lot of things, such as nature club, such as extracurricular activities in cultural club, quizzes, etc. So this is a very interesting thing, and while the day seems structured, there are a lot of things that make the day very interesting. On the other hand, the outside academy days are full of unscheduled fun when we go on tours or exercises or modules. In that, our day is not, one day is not the same as the other one. While on one day we may get up very early and go on tours, the second day we may start late but then end up in very late doing night safaris. There are also exertions such as treks and jungle survival exercises with the BSF. Along with that, there are modules such as with reputed institutions such as NEERI, such as IIM Lucknow, etc., wherein we go to their campuses and then learn from the best in the sector. So, as you can see, there are roughly two types, one being a very scheduled academy time and the other one being an outside time, both of which are full of fun and full of learning and something that all the probationers look forward to.
Can you shed some more light about the training curriculum, like what areas are covered?
IFS training is a very comprehensive training exercise which includes theory and practical portions both. In theory, various core subjects of forestry such as forest ecology, biometry, mensuration, survey, economics, etc. takes place. These take place in a classroom session delivered by IFS officers or other experts on deputation. Along with this, there are many practical aspects such as horse riding, swimming, rifle shooting, jungle survival, etc. We are supposed to pass some tests in swimming, in horse riding, motor driving, and all. Along with that, we also take place on-field exercises such as botanization, bird watching, animal census, trekking, etc. All of this combined goes on to make an IFS officer abreast with a lot of different subjects, which he is free to pursue deeply when he begins and joins his career as the IFS officer.
Since it is such a rigorous and comprehensive training, what were some of the challenging aspects of the training program?
Challenging aspects, one of the most challenging time period for me was the initial period when we had to get up very early in the morning in the cold winters of Dehradun and then go for a 4 to 5 kilometer run in the FRI campus. While it is a very scenic and beautiful period, getting up is a tough task given the winters and also that a lot of us are not really uh, prepared previously for such long runs regularly. So that is definitely a challenging part. Along with this, we also took many long treks, some of which were in very challenging situations. So, such as in Andamans or in the Great Himalayan National Park. So these are some of the challenging periods. Along with that, we also undertook research projects such as optional papers when we were supposed to research and come up with innovative ideas and solutions for problems that our forestry sector currently faces. So these were some of the challenging aspects of the training. But while these were challenging, we had a lot of support both from the institute and from our peers, which gave us the strength to overcome these challenges and then complete the training successfully.
There are a number of attachments that IFS probationers go through, like Parliament attachment, IMA attachment, etc. So, what are some of these specific aspects of a forest officer's work that you learned during these and other attachments?
So, for example, there is an attachment with IIM Lucknow where we undertake a general course on management. Along with that, in NEERI, we take a course on pollution control and environmental issues. With NLSIU, that is the National Law School of India University, we have undertaken a PG diploma in environmental law, wherein we learn various aspects of jurisprudence, of the legal philosophies, legal schools, and how they play into our legal regime of laws and policies that currently govern the environmental sector in India. So we were awarded a PG diploma in environmental law at the end of this module, along with our PG diploma in forestry that is given to us by IGNFA. There was also a attachment on watershed management in with the Indian Institute of Soil and Water Conservation in Selakui Farms in Dehradun. Here we learned about the various structures and the various methods that are used for conservation of soil and moisture, which is very essential for the upkeep and for the good growth of the forests. So these are some of the attachments that we've undertaken. These are a very good aspect because here we get to learn about the sector from the very best. That gives us a very good analytical point of view and also a good overview of the sector, which we can then later, based on our interest, learn more about and build our expertise on. Along with this, we also did a wildlife management module in Panna Tiger Reserve. Here we were with the Wildlife Institute of India, and for nearly 10 days in Panna, we learned about the various things that wildlife management is about, right? From animal census, bird census, about sampling, about errors, etc., camera traps. So this was a very comprehensive and a very fun exercise that we undertook.
What were some of the most surprising or enlightening ecological realities you discovered through first-hand observation?
One of the most important thing being that not everything green is necessarily environmentally friendly. For example, just because we see a patch full of trees or full of shrubs does not mean that it is in tune with that place's ecology. While being on tours, we observed large patches of lantana camera, a very strong invasive that is wreaking havoc amongst the forests of India. So just because we see something that is pretty, like the flowers of lantana are very pretty, and also it gives a lot of foliage, does not mean that it is very conducive for the local environment. Along with that, we also saw some fast growing trees such as eucalyptus, which are very conducive for quick growth but are not necessarily good for the local environment and for the water table of the region. Further, we also saw the interplay between the forest dependent communities, the forest administration, wildlife, and the forests. They're not always in harmony and they're not always in conflict. There is a middle path between all these stakeholders, which we as wildlife and forest managers must need to strike a balance between. Along with that, we've also learned what monoculture and heavy anthropological pressures can do to a forest. While we saw very dense patches of forests around Dehradun, they're not necessarily very ecologically conducive because they were monocultures of sal and of teak, which were grown with the express intention of production in forestry. So not every dense forest is good. We need biodiversity, we need more native species, we need species that are conducive to the local wildlife. So this is what we learned, that not just looking at the broader green space, but also looking at what happens at every canopy, at every hectare, and at every species level, so that we understand how we can improve the health of our forests.
We are seeing rapid development of extensive highways across the country. One of the critiques that we hear about these projects is the large number of trees being cut down for these roads. So can you point out how conservation and development can go hand in hand?
Now, this is a very common criticism of the development projects in the country. And this is quite right, because a large number of trees and forests are felled to make way for these spaces. There is no doubt that in country today we need large scale industrial development, and this needs infrastructure of an unprecedented level. Only then can we achieve our dream of becoming a Viksit Bharat by 2047. However, we need to do this in line with our environmental realities. The threat of climate change is upon us, and if we don't act well and act proactively, we may see warmer and warmer years and many more extreme weather events as we go on. Here, it is very important to understand what problems infrastructural projects, particularly linear projects, can cause to the environment. Roads not only cause felling of trees, but they also cause heavy habitat fragmentation. This leads to further wildlife conflict and also causes genetic disabilities and inbreeding suppression amongst a lot of species. Here, it is important that we incorporate many eco-friendly practices in our projects, so that while they are implemented, their impact can be minimized. Some of the few ideas to do that are creating green corridors, wherein the wildlife-friendly measures are taken, such as underpasses, overpasses, speed limit, time limit, convoys, so that the conflict between speeding vehicles and animals is minimized, and they can freely pass through the road highways. Along with that, when it comes to dams, it is important that instead of going for mega dam projects, we create smaller dams with smaller submergence, and that are more in tune with the hydrological and the environmental realities of that region. We must also ensure that ecological flow of water resources is maintained, and we do not hoard a large amount of water at one section while causing scarcity downstream or upstream. Further, whenever we are undertaking large diversion of forests, it is important that diversion of trees, felling of trees is minimized, and that the Forest Conservation Act is implemented in its true sense and spirit. Here, we can ensure that green buildings are created. We can ensure that the design of the buildings is such that maximum amount of trees can be kept in place while creating buildings. Further, it is important that legal safeguards such as environment impact assessment take place, and that projects are only taken after due process of law is followed. Further, legal compliances such as district mineral fund, such as green cess, coal cess, etc. are given in time, and also the environment mitigation plan that is being proposed during the EIA is truly implemented in full spirit. Only then can we ensure that development and environment protection goes hand in hand. Further, we must eschew from fossil fuels and polluting industries, particularly in the mining and heavy industry sector, and try and find suitable alternatives so that our dependence on forest land for creation of these industries is minimized. Renewable energy and green renewable energy is the way to go in future.
At last, can you tell us what are some of the aspects of forest conservation that are close to your heart?
The closest one to my heart is wildlife management, because that is the sector where we can truly improve and save the lives of our voteless and voiceless friends, such as our tigers, hyenas, leopards, tigers, great Indian bustards, etc. Here we learned about wildlife management in training through various subjects and various modules, such as wildlife and biodiversity conservation subject in classroom, working plan exercise, and wildlife management exercise in Panna Tiger Reserve. Through these various activities, we learned how we can use scientific methods, tools, and technologies to improve wildlife management and to ensure that we don't create empty forests wherein we only have a large patches of trees without any wildlife to speak of. Along with that, ecotourism and sustainable people's participation is one sector that really interests me because that is the future wherein we are able to take the stakeholders of the forest fringe villages together with the forest administration and come forward and create avenues of employment, of livelihood, which do not involve extraction of resources from the forest but also ensure livelihood for the people living around it. Only then can we ensure that our forests are not only rich in biodiversity but also create a lot of value for the people around it. The last sector that is of particular interest to me is ecosystem services valuation. Today, when everything is being viewed from the lens of economic systems, it is very important that we are able to communicate the importance of our environmental systems to policymakers, to other stakeholders, and to industry experts. It is only then when we can actually vouch for the protection of our forests. In ecosystem valuation, what is done is that a group of experts sits together and creates a value, a monetary value for all the services that the environmental systems provide, be it provisioning services of oxygen, be it recreational services, be it regulatory systems such as water purification, etc. When we create market value for these projects, for these services, it is then that we can convince the stakeholders that it is paramount to save our forests and to ensure that the forests are not given in subsidy and not sold for narrow commercial interests. The exercise is being already undertaken in close to 9 tiger reserves across India, and it is imperative that every inch of forest land is being accounted for and its true value and its green GDP is made well known to the people so that we are much more aware of the true wealth that lies in our forests.
So this was Yash Kale, who shared intricate details about the training to become an Indian Forest Service officer. He also shed light on how extensive this program is and teaches probationers such a diverse range of skills. What are your thoughts about IFS training? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe to Indian Masterminds and press the bell icon to get instant updates. I'm Muskan Khandelwal signing off. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned.